Hello and thanks for joining us on the news on NTA International. I am Elizabeth Omori and our sign language interpreter is Shegun Ajayi. The headlines. 4 new envoys present letters of credence to President Tinubu. Nigeria commemorates World Neglected Tropical Diseases Day, commits to more funding. Search and rescue operation underway after plane collision in Washington, D.C. Now the news. 4 new envoys today presented letters of credence to President Bola Tinubu. The new envoys include Pascal Salvaggio, High Commissioner of Canada to Nigeria, and Lajes Gedwill Hale, Ambassador of Ethiopia. Others are Archbishop Michael Francis Grotti, the Apostolic Nuncio representing the Vatican in Nigeria, and Julius Sunday as the High Commissioner Sierra Leone. The envoys respectively had tete-a-tete with President Bola Tinubu. We shall bring you details of this report subsequently. Moving on, the Free to Shine program of triple elimination campaign has been flagged off in Kwara State for the North Central Zone. The Free to Shine program is an initiative of the Organizations of African First Ladies Against HIV/AIDS. Triple elimination is an initiative that supports the elimination of mother-to-child transmission of 3 diseases: human immunodeficiency virus, HIV infection, syphilis, and hepatitis. The program is to ensure that no child is born and die of HIV. The First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, at the occasion reaffirmed President Tinubu's commitment to ensuring that people living with HIV continue to have access to treatment. She assured that no woman will be left behind in HIV response in the country, as the program aims to significantly reduce vertical transmission. The Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Ali Pati, while commending President Bola Tinubu on the One Center approach initiative, said the President has been increasing its domestic financing to ensure that no one is left behind in the HIV response. Other speakers said the program is a noble step to the elimination of mother-to-child transmission, as it would ensure that every child is free to shine. Still talking health, the World Neglected Tropical Disease Day is observed every year on the 30th of January. On this day, the World Health Organization wants world leaders and communities to unite, act and eliminate neglected tropical diseases, NTDs, by making bold, sustainable investments to free the estimated 1.5 billion people in the world's most vulnerable communities from a vicious circle of disease and poverty.
So far, 50 countries have eliminated at least one NTD, and we're on track to reach our goal of 100 countries by 2030.
The aim of the day is to raise the profile of NTDs, highlight the suffering they cause, and garner support for their control, elimination, and eradication, in line with the programmatic targets set out in WHO's Roadmap 2021 to 2030. It is also in fulfillment of the commitments of the 2022 Kigali Declaration on Neglected Tropical Diseases.
About onchocerciasis, and then usually and schistosomiasis. You see some people occasionally, they say they are passing urine through the through their urinary organs. These are part of the problem that comes with some of these issues. So for Nigeria, what the country has been doing is also use some preventive approaches.
Will be recalled that on the 31st of May 2021, the 74th World Health Assembly recognized 30th of January as World Neglected Tropical Diseases Day. As Nigeria joins the global community to commemorate the 2025 World Neglected Tropical Diseases Day, the Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare, Dr. Isaac Salako, sees collaboration and investment as ways to tackle the diseases in the country. With over 200 million Nigerians affected by NTDs, the minister links the causes to poverty, poor sanitation, and inadequate healthcare access. Basi Ita Ikman reports that the theme for this year is Unite, Act to Eliminate.
Neglected tropical diseases, NTDs, are a diverse health conditions caused by a variety of pathogens associated with devastating health, social and economic consequences. Nigeria accounts for 25% of Africa's NTD cases, with 165 million people requiring preventive treatment. This figure, the minister says, highlights urgent need for targeted funding and effective partnership to eliminate these diseases. He advocates increased budgetary allocation and stronger partnership to combat neglected tropical diseases in the country.
The Nigerian Health Sector Renewal Investment Initiative is now offering a robust template to continue to collaborate and engage all stakeholders in our collective resolve to push entities out of Nigeria.
Today we gather to raise awareness and unite in the fight against diseases that disproportionately affect the most vulnerable communities around the world. Globally, 30th January is dedicated as a day set aside to commemorate World NTD Day.
Other speakers were of the opinion that eliminating NTDs requires sustained financial commitments from both government and private sector, emphasizing that the diseases are preventable and treatable.
NTD is a burden that needs to be dealt with, and so we are really looking at ending it at all costs.
Today we want to mobilize and sensitize our generation to join in the fight against these diseases that are very important, but at the same time neglected. And these diseases are worrying and causing a lot of burden to the people at the end of the road.
While commending development partners for the support which they noted led to the success recorded in some parts of the country, speakers called for the integration of mental health care into NTD program and the need to implement person-centered approaches to disease management. Basi Taikman, NTA News.
And to speak more on the World Neglected Tropical Diseases Day is Dr. Chukwemeka Makata, Assistant Director and Program Manager, National Onchocerciasis Elimination Program, Department of Public Health. Is also the Vice Chairman, WHO Global Onchocerciasis Network for Elimination. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us on the news.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Now, let's do a bit of more on this disease, a bit of education. What exactly are these diseases?
Well, neglected tropical diseases are a diverse group of diseases that commonly occur in the tropical region. And they are usually diseases that are underfunded and under-researched. And today is actually the day that is set aside through the World Health Resolution 18 of the 74th session. And the idea is to raise the profile of the neglected tropical diseases. The aim is to draw the attention of the world to work towards the elimination or eradication of these diseases. There are vastly, WHO recognizes 21 neglected tropical diseases classified into two. One is the PCNTDs that can be prevented with chemotherapies. And the second group of diseases is called the innovative management diseases. Many of these diseases, Nigeria prioritizes 16 of these diseases, and the country is working and always working. It's been a long time coming. They are old diseases, but at a point, attention was not being paid to the diseases. So today is a day that we all come together to make sure that people begin to look at these diseases and invest in it so that it can be eliminated to reduce the suffering of our people.
Okay, observing this day is another case on its own. But really, what impact does these observance have on public health?
The impact is tremendous. It basically raises the profile of the diseases and draws the attention of the world to the diseases for the purpose of supporting the elimination of the disease and also researches to find new methods to tackle diseases. You will agree with me that some other diseases like malaria, tuberculosis, HIV, they tend to enjoy more attention and the support of funders and also governments across the world because of the acute nature of the diseases. NTDs are diseases that take a long time. They run a long course, and basically people don't get to understand that they are even infected until they start manifesting very severe morbidities. And because of that, people don't usually pay attention to it. But it is really, really impacting on every sector of our life, the economy of the country, the quality of life of the victims, and also the food security, and as it tends to drive away people who farm and also produce crops for people to eat in the country. So the significance, the raising of the awareness on the disease attracts the attention of the world and helps to bring in resources, which is huge. The federal government is doing a lot, along with our partners, but resources are never enough, especially given the quantum of needs that are facing the government all the time.
Okay. Before we talk about collaboration and funding to eliminate these diseases, from the point of a medical practitioner, would you like to give us precautionary measures, tips, so that we do not fall victims?
Yeah, we do this all the time, and we always take messages to the community, especially at the community levels. And there are different neglected tropical diseases, like lymphatic filariasis, onchocerciasis, which is the program that I manage, and also trachoma. What we have campaigned, there are strategies to prevent or eliminate these diseases, which includes the mass administration of medicines. So these drugs are donated free by people of goodwill from across the world. And with the support of the Federal Ministry of Health and the federal government of Nigeria, these drugs are brought into this country and distributed to people who are at the risk of these diseases. Over time, we have noticed that a lot of conspiracy theories have led to people not even trying to take up the interventions that we take to the grassroots. What we encourage people to do is to make sure that they maintain a high level of sanitation and also take up the interventions that are being brought in the society. If you must take any form of instruction or any form of advice from people, please take advice from trained medical people. The social media has made it very easy from all manner of charlatans to come up and give instructions and tell people about diseases. At the end of the day, 90% of what they tell people are not true.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right, I'm sorry I have to comment there, but during the celebration, the minister talked about collaboration and funding. These are issues we need to deal with to ensure elimination of the disease. But quickly, Dr. Makata, what all are the challenges we face in eliminating these diseases?
At the core of the challenge we face in eliminating the diseases, like we said, the funding, the paucity of funding. You can see in the last 10 days there has been a significant change in the world, and also based on the fact that almost all countries are struggling with resources, Nigeria included. But with the leadership of the Ministry of Health, the Minister of Health, Mohamed Ali Pate, the government is adopting a lot of strategies like the sector-wide approach as well as the collaborative action strategy, which tends to bring people together for the purpose of pooling fundings for implementation of these diseases. Okay. Other challenges we see, like I've mentioned before, includes this information, excess of information from all manner of people.
Circulating.
Yeah, circulating within the social media, and also the insecurity that we tend to experience.
All right, Dr. Chukwuemeka, I'm sorry, this is the much I can take from you, and I hope we'll have other platforms to talk more about the issue before us. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Moving on, a high-level bilateral consultation has begun between Nigeria and Australia to explore new areas of collaboration with focus on trade, mining, agriculture and food security, thereby aiming to map out practical steps to strengthen economic cooperation, leverage past successes and introduce new initiatives. This was during the 4th edition of the Nigeria-Australia bilateral meeting at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Abuja. Director of Regions of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Janet Olisa, prioritized opportunities in Nigeria's agriculture sector and harnessing renewable energy, particularly solar power. Mark Ines Brown, the first Assistant Secretary, Middle Eastern Africa Division from the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, highlights the area of climate-resistant agriculture and responding to the impacts of climate change as key areas of cooperation. Both countries believe their shared commitments will play key leadership roles in that regard to mutually benefit both. You're still watching the news on NTA International. Time to take a breather. More reports when we return. To stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. A passenger jet carrying 64 persons crashed into Washington's Potomac River after colliding mid-air with a military helicopter, with multiple bodies pulled from the near-freezing water. Francis Udojo brings us details.
Washington's Fire Chief John Donnelly said in a press briefing that emergency crews totaling about 300 people were working in extremely rough conditions and gave little indication of finding anyone alive. The fire chief noted that a massive search and rescue operations is in progress, with divers visible in the glare of powerful lights as they plunged into the snow-lined Potomac to ransack the wreckage of both aircrafts. Some local media reports say at least 19 bodies had been recovered, while others reported more than a dozen. U.S. figure skating said several athletes, coaches, and officials were aboard the flight, while officials in Moscow confirmed a married Russian couple, Evgenia Shikova and Vadim Naumov, who won the 1994 World Paris title, were on the jet. The Bombardier plane, operated by an American Airlines subsidiary, was approaching Reagan National Airport after flying from Wichita, Kansas, when the collision happened. U.S. Army officials said the helicopter involved was a Black Hawk carrying 3 soldiers on a training flight. Meanwhile, South Africa says it is working to support its troops stationed in the Democratic Republic of Congo. At least 13 of its soldiers have been killed in the conflict, pitting Rwanda-backed M23 rebels against the Congolese army and its allies. According to spokesperson of South Africa's National Defense Force, Sifwe Lamini, 10 of the soldiers were killed responding to that attack, while others died during clashes between M23 rebels and Congolese forces on Monday when some mortars fell on their base. He said the government was also working on repatriating the bodies of the fallen soldiers, a process that is expected to take longer than usual because of the volatile situation in Goma.
Our soldiers are back in their bases. They are no longer engaging with M23. The engagement is between M23. So in their positions, they have all their possessions with them. And again, getting more support to them is something that we are working on to avoid any loss of life.
Lamini said it is not yet clear whether more troops would be sent to the region as reinforcement. The South African troops are part of the regional bloc's peacekeeping force in the region. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
Thank you, Francis, for the updates. Now to the court. The High Court of the Federal Capital Territory sitting in Kuje has adjourned the arraignment of former Executive Secretary of the National Health Insurance Scheme, Usman Yusuf, to Monday, February 3, 2025. Justice Chinyere Nwichonu gave the order during the failed arraignment of the defendant due to amendments in the charge preferred against him. Yusuf, who was arrested by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, was brought before Justice Chinyere for his scheduled arraignment on allegations of fraud. However, the court adjourned the case to allow for amendment of the charge sheet. During the brief session, defense counsel sought bail for the defendant, but the court declined the request due to the postponed arraignment. The court ruled that in the absence of a formal arraignment, bail at this stage is premature. Now, talking agriculture, the federal government, in collaboration with the International Fund for Agricultural Development, the Food and Agriculture Organization, and the French Development Agency, is committing $138 million to a food security program in Nigeria. 9 states will benefit from these funds through the IFED Value Chain Development Program. Musa Babali tells us more.
In March 2024, the federal government, along with the International Fund for Agricultural Development (IFAD) and other development partners, validated a value chain development initiative targeting 9 states. The project is aimed at sustainably contributing to poverty reduction, enhance nutrition, and improve the resilience of rural and vulnerable populations in the 9 states. The states included in the initiative are Borno, Bauchi, Kano, Katsina, Kebbi, Jigawa, Sokoto, Yobe, and Zamfara.
The BCM program, with its focus on climate resilience, nutrition-sensitive production, and inclusive market integration, is well positioned to address these challenges and make a lasting impact.
This workshop focused on validating the implementation process, ensuring commitment from key stakeholders involved in the project.
This program was not designed just by government and development partners. What we have in the value chain North program design is the reflection of what the people have said during the consultation. And that's really important. Our smallholder farmers, but also the private sector.
We have to work in northern states where there could be a lot of challenges on the field, whether it's climate challenges, whether it's insecurity challenges, fragilities. We have to focus also on vulnerable groups, whether it's women, youth, whether it's IDPs, whether it's people with disabilities.
The project will commence after all relevant agencies sign the implementation document in August 2025. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
To climate matters, Bayelsa State Governor Dwe Diri says the state will domesticate the Climate Change Act with the state's peculiar climate problem the focus of the act. The governor said this when he received the Presidential Envoy on Climate Change and Director General National Council on Climate Change Secretariat in Kiruka, Madwiki at the Government House in Yenegua. Charles Alpha reports.
Bayelsa State has had its own fair share of the climate crisis in Nigeria. Gas flaring is predominantly one notable problem impacting the lives and livelihoods of the people as an oil-producing state. But the mangroves assessment visit by the Director General National Council on Climate Change Secretariat, Nkiruka Madwekwe, is promising a new horizon of carbon credit that will accrue to the state if its mangrove forests are protected. The Presidential Envoy on Climate Change in her presentation at the Government House, Yenegua, highlighted the opportunities that exist with mangroves conservation in Bayelsa State, particularly in Nembe, Brass, South Ijo, Ikeremo, and a few other areas. Immeasurable benefits that come with the adoption of the Climate Change Act that speaks to the peculiarity of climate impacts in the state, as well as the climate change funds.
Based climate solutions. And it was very key for us to come and see for ourselves what exactly the situation is. And so, Your Excellency, sir, we're going to Nembe community to see what the status of the mangrove is and what do we need to do as government to support the state.
For Governor Doyediri, the visits and agenda of the Presidential Envoy on Climate Change to know the status and offer support for mangroves development aligned with the state's climate change goals.
The Chief of Staff, Commissioner for Environment, have to look at these laws and bring a draft for me to approve and immediately to see how we can send that to our State House Assembly for the lawmaking process to commence.
Bayelsa State, in the last few months, has taken several proactive steps to address some environmental challenges bedeviling the state. And one of such includes the Stop Logging Law, which has put an embargo on tree felling in Bayelsa. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
Next is a look at the weather picture for tomorrow, Thursday. And we actually brought you Friday's weather picture. And on that note, we end the news at this time on NTA International. Thank you so much for your time. I'm Elizabeth Omori, and our sign language interpreter is Shegun Ajayi. Good evening.